Hello and welcome to episode 16 of The Australian Runner, a weekly show about running and everything running related. I'm Ben, and with me is Chris.
Hi everyone.
This week we are talking about tapering in the lead up to a big race. Let's get started. Chris, did you want to get us started by giving us a brief overview of what exactly tapering is?
Yeah, sure. Alright, what is tapering? Tapering is where an athlete reduces the exercise, so in our case running, in the lead up to competition, which allows the body to freshen up. This means reducing the amount of running you do, kilometre wise, mileage wise, but also how many workouts you're doing and how hard you're doing those workouts. This occurs in the lead up, let's say 1 to 2 weeks before a major competition or race to get you ready and raring to go.
Alright, so how would you go about tapering? So you're running, let's say, 40 kilometers a week and you got a big race coming up. What are some of the things that you'd be looking at doing?
One of the major things to do is drop your mileage down. So I'd probably drop it for a 40k guy down to maybe half, 20 kilometers, maybe 25 kilometers the week out of the race. But what you do is you up the intensity. So all the easy runs, recovery runs, cut them down, keep them there. But the workouts, if you were doing 10 400s hard, maybe do 10 200s hard. Or not even hard, but fast. You're relaxed and you feel easy and it just comes to you. You shouldn't be doing short recoveries really hard. Lengthen the recoveries so you're running and the quality of your running is right there.
You want to up the quality but decrease the quantity.
Yeah, exactly. Like what you want to do is you want to feel great before your competition. And the taper also should help you prepare mentally and give you a lot of confidence leading into the race that you're going to run well, you're going to run fast, and that you're ready and raring to go. Your legs feel great, your body feels great, but also your mind is calm and full of ease.
Yeah, so we all have those days when we wake up and we're really raring to go and we feel like we're going to have a good day. That's the sort of day you want to have when you've got a race coming up.
100%.
You don't want to be feeling worn out or beaten up because of all the work you've been doing.
Yeah, you're exactly right there. So one of the things you should do is not change your weekly running routine not too much. Keep the same number of runs that you'd usually do. So if you run twice a day, continue to run twice a day. If you run 4 times a week, continue to run 4 times a week. You're just reducing how much you run in each of those times. The whole premise of tapering is individualization.
Yeah, so that individualization really helps you build up your confidence. So you might go back to some of your favorite sessions, things that you know work and things that you like. Maybe if you feel anxious, if you drop by a half, maybe drop how much you're running by a quarter. So you're giving your body time to relax, but mentally you're staying really in control and confident with what you're actually doing.
Yeah, definitely. Some of the distance guys and marathon runners, the elites per se, run 120 miles, which is about 180 kilometers per week. But in their taper period, they might still be running 100 kilometers the week before their marathon. Because if they only ran 40, then their bodies aren't used to it, kind of shut down, and they don't perform as highly or as high as they should. So they'll stay at around 100 kilometers because their body's so used to that running, it still freshens them up. It still works as a taper for them.
Yeah, if you've been running 120 miles a week for a year, dropping down to 60 miles a week, that'd feel really weird. Your body wouldn't be used to it at all, that's for sure.
Yeah, but some of the sprinters and speed guys, they drop their volume by a lot more. They drop their sessions a long way back so that almost by the end of it, they're doing strides, which is just run-throughs, and they're not doing interval training or anything. But Nick Willis gave some good advice in a couple of his tweets about tapering.
Yeah, he did. So he's got a couple of keys to tapering for a race. They're rest, hydrate, easy jogging, easy strides, allowing calories to reduce expenditure, and visualize the race. One of those keys that he mentioned was align calories. So basically what that means is to make sure that you reduce the amount of calories you're eating proportional to how much less exercise you're doing. So that means if you're doing significantly less exercise, you should definitely drop those extra calories because you don't want to feel bloated or put on weight, especially the week or two out from your race while you're trying to taper and feel good about yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And the part about visualizing the race beforehand is just being confident that and preparing for whatever scenario may happen, especially in tactical races, but even for 5K and 10K plans, have in your mind what pace you're going to be running, what plan you've got leading into the race. If it's a hilly course, you're going to take the first 10K slow because there's hills to come, and then capitalize on the downhill parts. It's all about planning and trying to feel comfortable with what's ahead.
Have you heard about our F1 drivers? They go through their minds, they know what gear they're going to shift into for every single corner and they'll just imagine it. That's the sort of thing that you want to be doing in your head, making sure that when you're going into the race, you've got a good plan of attack, you know exactly what you're going to do.
The second piece of advice that Nick Willis gave in a tweet was in his tapering period, he says jog for 20 to 40 minutes slow and then 4 to 5 easy 100-meter strides. And the strides should go slow, medium, fast, medium. He also recommends lots of stretching, but then no stretching on the day of the race. And that leads us to all the things not connected with running that you should be doing in your tapering period.
Because tapering's all about recovery and freshening up, you want to make sure that your body's feeling 100%. And some of the things that you can do are get a massage or a foam roller. I love the foam roller. It makes you feel so good.
Yeah,
it's basically giving yourself a massage. Stretching, maybe an ice bath, and really focusing on your on your diet and your sleep. Sleeping well just is one of the best things that you can do for your recovery, making sure that you're really fresh and ready for the race.
Yeah, it's definitely all about the overall aspect and the overall life of the athlete in those final days leading into a major competition. But the length of that taper can differ between athletes and what event you're doing. So the tapering period could be between 7 and 14 days. Just recently, Josh Harris, the other week, ran a world champs qualifying marathon. We mentioned it in the news. And later he said that he did it off a short taper because he'd found he'd been tapering from 2 weeks out, but it just hadn't worked for him. So he changed his taper and he ended up getting a fantastic result out of it.
From your personal experience, how long before a race would you start tapering for a big event?
For a big event, and I mainly run 800 meters, I'd say 7 days out, I'd have my last major tough, hard session or workout. And then for those 7 days is my taper period. I'd probably drop my mileage by about a quarter. So I'd run 25 to 30 kilometers in that week before my race. And my short runs, or my recovery runs, would be slightly shortened, but my sessions would nearly turn into easy strides. One of the favourite sessions to do before my race is just 6 by 150 metre run-throughs, strides essentially, with a walk back in between so that I can run each one fairly fast. I don't get lactic, I don't feel the burn in my legs, and each run feels fast and just gives me heaps of confidence they can run fast in my race.
That sounds like a pretty good plan of attack you've got going there. So that's it for the first half of the show, and now I'll pass it over to you for this week's running and athletics news.
Thanks for that. There's not much to report this week with the Nationals starting up next Sunday in Sydney, and we have a special episode coming up that will preview that championship. That being said, in Sydney on Saturday night, the Bankstown Invitational and Newcomers Meet was held. There were several highlights, including Bryce Collins running 52.81 in the men's 400 metre hurdles. Angeline Blackburn ran 55.08 seconds in the women's 400 metre flat race. Abby Taddeo won a great race at the women's 100 metre flat with a time of 12.04 seconds. Moving slightly longer distance now, Holly Campbell won the women's 1500 metres in a time of 4:21. And in the men's, Jordan Guzman won the men's race in a tight affair, running away from the rest of the field in the last lap to record a quick time of 3:41. But the highlight of the meet would have to go to Angus Armstrong, who jumped 5 metres 45 in the men's pole vault, which is a New South Wales state record. So it was an outstanding achievement from him. In Victoria over the weekend, there was an AV throwers meet down in Geelong, and there were 4 notable competitors: Danny Stevens, Damien Birkenhead, Matthew Denny, and para-athlete Todd Hodgetts, OAM. And the best result was that Danny threw 4 of her throws over the London qualifying benchmark. So she's in outstandingly consistent form. She seems to be throwing so consistently every time she goes out, and that just gives her great confidence, should give her great confidence leading into nationals and London later in the year. Tasmania also hosted their state championships over the weekend, and Hamish Peacock in the men's javelin threw 84.04 metres, which is a huge throw. Also, Josh Harris, who we just mentioned before, won his 29th state title and his 9th state 5,000 metre title over the weekend. So he's dominated middle distance running in Tasmania for a long time. One other interesting note in the world of Australian running was that Liam Adams broke the Australian park run record. For those who don't know, park run is a free weekly 5-kilometre race run by volunteers all over Australia and the world. He ran 14:22 in Maribyrnong, which on the track is an amazing result in itself. And that's the news for this week.
Thanks for that, Chris. And that's it for the show this week. Thank you everyone for listening. You can find us on iTunes and YouTube as The Australian Runner. And check us out on Facebook and Instagram too. See you next week.
See you then.